Today's video is very sensitive, but they teach in school, they teach history, and I want to talk about it. I'm going to talk a lot about what they teach you in school. Today's video is very summarized, it's skipped in years. It's a lot with estimates of philosophy and war regimen tactics. Today was an earthquake. I bet war feels like an earthquake. Let's get started. Very sensitive topics. These are my ideas, my beliefs. This is just a summary. We will get into the specific of laws and what they're promoting and who they're talking to at the time and moment, who I think they're talking to. But right now, it's just a little summary of where we are today. Not today, where we were, probably 1900s, 1800s. And then we'll go back to the first president. Then we'll start on the facts, on the history being told. But this is just a little summary of what I believe and what I want to spread into the world. So there's this idea of people versus the government. You versus the government. Or should I call the government religion? And every continent there's a government. There's China, they call it communism. There's India, they call it Hinduism. There's Muslims, Catholics, Christianity. A quick summary you can say is government is like religion, but no one says that. There was a time where I thought the only success America had to offer, and I thought this since a kid, since high school, was lawsuits and versus cases. That's what I believe to be capitalism. If you want to be somebody in this world, you have to sue. And why wouldn't you sue? And why wouldn't you fight for rights that are literally on a piece of paper and are going here? If you want to be someone in America, you can fight for these laws, these rights that are in this piece of paper. There's literally a list. And you could be someone in America. You know, why don't you just start a grassroots movement, right? And that's what I thought success in America was since a kid. And I wanted the computers have more rights than immigrants, and I wanted what all the computers are doing at the same time, and I wanted what the AI was thinking, and I wanted to speak to the smartest computer. That's what I wanted. As time goes on, you know, there's only so much you can do, so much talking you can do. And I resort to, you know, fall in love with creativity. It's so and flux with all these emotions that are silly to me because I never thought, you know, I put so much intention in a word, so much intention in how someone speaks because I want people to listen to me and put attention to every word that I speak. It's so funny to me. It's just how things developed in my life, influenced me, and that's the route I chose. You know, the word is beautiful, and you know, for those of you that don't know what that means, if you don't know what you're here to do in this world, I had this Alexander the Great book, and it said, if you're not ready to contribute to the world and the time period you in 2024 and 2000 and 3000, if you're not ready to contribute, which is working as a coffee man, Starbucks, Jack in the Box, whatever the world has to offer, the strongest thing a man could do that's well respected is killing himself, right? That's what I read Alexander Dugray's journal. It's called Alexander's Handbook, where apparently he wrote down ideas when he conquered the world. And but what I'm trying to say is, if you have no idea what you're doing in life is beautiful. And it's silly. You get to college and they're talking about, how God made the world, right? But just take a second to look at everything that's in this world. Just the word beautiful is too powerful, like the word God. And that's where I come in, and that's where my brain just don't stop thinking, and I'm ready to write 100 books. And I remember when I was in elementary, we used to see the Harry Potter books, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with this thick, and we used to say, they're so big. And it must have took forever, and now I could write Harry Potter books in a day, and I'm on fire, and I'm running, and I'm sober, and I'm healthy, and I feel so much energy to just create, which is silly because I thought I'd be making computers or something, right? So there was a time I thought success in America was just lawsuits and versus cases, capitalism. I used to say, the banks, Alexander Hamilton. I used to say capitalism. That's for me. They promote it as anybody, any class, middle, poor, rich can get rich. And 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 the day after tomorrow they could have billions of dollars, like the lottery. And and that's what I would promote growing up as a kid. I was just tell my teachers, I'm gonna be rich. And they used to say, and what if you don't be rich? And I used to say, well, we wait for that time to come. And and she used to say, well, I'm glad you're willing to, you know, move on. Now, what's the word she said? Fix your ideas, fix your beliefs, be content with the world. So that's the real gold rush. Get a piece of the pie, get a piece of that lawsuit, get a piece of that history and time. You want to be remembered forever. You hear these stories of people getting rich, large amount of money for suing. It's practically being promoted that way. There's this idea where monopolies are literally waiting for the next candidate to be famous. For example, they say, we got all the money over here. Just sue. We'll give you the money. Just sue. Come on. Sue. You'll be surprised what a lawsuit can turn into. Just like Brown versus education. You may think you're just suing for money, and they're using your lawsuits to change the world. They might just have them stashed away for future years, for now, the present. I'm too lazy to sue. I'd rather have a group of lawyers to do it for me. That's funny. No one would ever say that. You do it on your own. So So the people in local government, when you go to college, tell you it's all globalization. There was a certain time period where America decided to invest in corporation, invest in a title, invest in a name like McDonald's. So if you want to know how America, what part of the reason why America was able to make so much money was because they made McDonald's in all the countries, right? It's everywhere. It's called globalization. That's from America. So that's how the rich get richer. Imagine Apple replace your corner liquor store and they take all of the block money, all the community money. The rich get richer. That's not coming back. You can just buy burgers, Apple. So yes, that happens in America a lot. And in other countries, you got other monopolies, corporations, gasoline. And I got this story about Apple. How easy would it be for Apple to put Microsoft Word in their computer? Once you become a creator, right? Microsoft Word is beautiful. To be able to write and just send it to any printer and print a book about this big becomes very important in your life. Something I never realized I needed. And now, if you go to the store, it's $80 for a year. Now you can't even buy it once. I remember back then, I think we used to just buy it once. If you're a student, you could get it for free. It's called 365 Microsoft. Just put your student email. But how easy would it be for Apple to add Microsoft Word? See, and you understand Bill Gates. You see him in Congress. You understand these rich people are helping out Congress, are helping out the government. But Apple don't got Microsoft Word. So it's you versus the people who Bill Gates with and who Apple with. Apple is very proud of promoting no viruses, but it got no Microsoft Word. It's a very simple computer. It does everything a computer does, but print out pieces of paper in a printer. But you get no viruses in it, and it's great. I love it for that. And Microsoft, if you get a Google computer, it'll get a virus by tomorrow. You go on a website you're not supposed to, and those computers break down in 1 month. But you got Microsoft Word. And nowadays they don't offer Microsoft Word. So who is Apple with? Who is Bill Gates with? This is this idea of you versus the people, you versus religion, you versus morality, you versus your consciousness, you versus your feelings of feeling bad, right? And you buy buildings easy. You buy buildings easy money. Paperwork. I love paperwork. I can't wait till I get into some contracts and I get some lawyer friends and we sit there and just talk about the law and contracts. But you don't have nothing to sell. A library in a grocery market was once ruled by kings and queens. A market and a library. What's the difference between religion and government? Government has business and economics and science now and biology. I have this joke. This woman don't want to be a HOE, but she want to be a mother. I mean, she can't even be but she want to be a mother. Or should I call the government science? So this is the idea I'm promoting. There's 2 books. And there are few political agenda words that were created. Even political agenda is one. Understand? And there's 2 books, but the 2 first political agenda words I believe were created in this world were government and history. Okay? There was a time where the church told the people what to do. That's what you assume. But the world you in now has turned into a governing world. It's called government. They're governing the world. Philosophy, hence the word government. You know, you understand there was a time where the separation of church and state was discussed. I'm going to tell you what the separation of church and state mean. It means the end of the Bible. You understand? And the start of history. You understand what I'm saying? And we're not talking about when they finally got it through the court system, the separation of church and state around the 1900s. I'm talking about the beginning of creating the word history, the beginning of creating the word government, which was around the 1700s when the Declaration of Independence was created. And what I'm telling you is, there was a time America decided we are ready to govern the world. We are ready to not talk about the Bible, but we're ready to talk about history. See, history is like the Bible, but now the Bible is not being discussed no more, and now we're creating what to talk about, and that's history. So that's what I'm talking about here today. And again, we're jumping on different summaries, and we're jumping on different moments in the timeline. It's not chronologically in order, but we will get there on my next videos. After this, I'm very excited to release this video. After this video, we'll try to be more chronological in order and how things happen with the law. You know, the law's not included in this yet. The law is something else. But we're jumping around. So history meant the end of Bible. And the start of history is a political agenda word. A political agenda is a word, political word too. It's a part of political agenda, history and government. And there's more along the line. And they're still releasing some now, and social media and social platforms. You ever wonder how people all of a sudden are saying words that never been said before? You think it's part of, you know, being cool and speaking cool, and you don't even know which words are yours. We know what words are ours, but you guys, you might have a hard time. So philosophy, religion had turned to a government. Government had turned to science. So religion had turned to government. So they look for help in government, religion. And government look for help in science and business. So religion turned to government, and government turned to science for help and business. So there's this idea of you versus the people. Full of hate crimes, I assume. A world full of chemical reactions. The Declaration of Independence was the fight of independence, philosophy. Let's talk about the beginning, 1776. Okay, we're going to talk about war tactics. And it's very easy to understand. We got the Eastern Hemisphere and we got the Western Hemisphere. It's easier to understand if you know the Western Hemisphere is us, America, Mexico, South America with Brazil, North America, Canada, right? So this side. So now we're talking about the Western Hemisphere versus this side. So it's divided in half. It's divided by the ocean. So that's Eastern Hemisphere is Africa. This is what Alexander the Great conquered at first, this whole peninsula. right? That's France, Italy, Britain, London's over here. All of this, he conquered Africa, and that's what they tell you at college. I'm only speaking what college book says and what I believe. So you guys try to distinguish the two. So this is Africa. All of this was part of Alexander the Great. Africa, and then there's Russia, China, India, Pakistan, Iraq is in the middle, and you got Japanese back here, Russia, India in the middle, brown, black, and you got Spanish, right? Italy, Madrid, Paris, and you got London, right? So this is all here, and we're on this side. So we're divided by ocean. So it was this side versus this side, correct? So what they tell you in history, and I don't want to talk about military tactics. What would you do if you had a group of friends and you were the leader and maybe even the smartest? Sometimes leaders ain't the smartest, but you're the leader. You got 20 friends. They're all with you. They all don't do nothing unless you tell them something. But now it's time to take over the world, not just a city, not just a planet, but now you got 20 cities with you. You for sure got 20 cities. But now it's time to see the rest of the world. What would you do? And we're going to talk about what I would do and what I think most people would do. Most importantly, you're not going to go over across the ocean unless you conquer all of America. And we're going to talk, and there's not a lot of discussion on America doing that in history, but we're going to talk about Rome, man, and what they did, because it's very exaggerated, but it's very severe. It's very serious about, it's not we just saying they took over the world. It's very interesting once you put it in your own words. So Rome, right? That's Paris, France, right? That's Madrid, Spain, soccer. That guys own most of Asia, right? That's China. All the Chinese people, all the Asian, Japanese, Vietnamese people, they own most of Britain, France, Netherlands, right? Africa. So they're all on the Eastern Hemisphere. So it's this side versus that side. We can say those are the words I'm deciding to use, political agenda words, just so you understand better. And it's our side. But for right now, we're not gonna go to our side. We're gonna talk about their side, right? So before they come to America, like Columbus did, before they go to New York, reach New York, they're in the Eastern Hemisphere. They're in Paris, right? They're taking over all of China, all of Russia, the whole globe, right? And they came over at 1700s. So at 1500s, 1400s, 1300s, it took at least 1,000 years for them to conquer the whole Eastern Hemisphere before coming over to America with Columbus at 1700. So that's what they were doing in the other years. What was America doing? We could get into that later, right? So it's very serious about them being a world domination hemisphere. They had taken over all the other continents but America. We were last on their list. And this how it went down. And year one was when writing was created, right? That's the first time we started writing things. And the Bible was about 10,000 years ago. And we only have boats. So we're going to get into conquering the world with boats. We only got a boat and a horse. And communism is saying your men are created equal and they're not. So they're claiming the Declaration of Independence. They're a boss now, right? That's philosophy. So you have to talk to the guy that created that. You have to talk to the guy in charge. You have to talk to the guy with the friends, the captain, the boss. And now we're having summit meetings. So we're skipping again. And in America, We're having meetings with the world, NATO, the summit meetings, 6 meetings that are taking place, and we're talking about it, and the rulers of every continent are there. There's the black guy for Africa, there's Europe, there's the Chinese guy, and there's an American guy, and all the kings are there, and we're talking, and we're not talking about the Bible, we're talking about history, correct? And there's this idea of making the strongest. There's this idea of making the weakest link look the strongest, like America. And I'll explain what I'm saying. And things change, and things change. So history has started. You're in the era of history. There's meeting. There's going to be a curriculum. There's going to be things being taught, and they want their story to be told. That they're created equal in our race, just like you. And that's the beginning of history. That's the philosophy idea. People are going to grow up in America and believe they're equal, and the pride on these people, and they started as a joke, right? Because we were the weakest, but we didn't know. You guys still don't know now, but something happened. Something changed. You were there where that happened. You weren't there where that happened. Now, who knows what happens. They have stories that are being told, but they have pictures, and he said, she said, and especially when it comes to war. There's this idea where a land fights each other, north and south, like Vietnam, and that could be the beginning of two families fighting together. The richest family in that land, north and south. There's the richest guy in the north, there's the richest guy in the south, and they're fighting because for years they know. And those are ideas that those families own, right? North and south, right? The richest of that land. So let's talk about war tactics. Let's talk about reverse psychology. We are having summit meetings. There's the Soviet, there's NATO, European allies, right? What you have to understand is they have to find these leaders and bring them to a meeting by force or their own will. So what made America feel that cocky? To feel that they need to talk to the whole world? Had they developed enough markets? Can they feed the whole world? Have they created something like money? Did they have the bomb already? And that's what caused the Asian wars. Because Asia didn't believe that they'll use it, right? That's the story being told, and I'm going to tell my story. Or did they have the American spy, the TV, electricity? First monopoly since Herbalife, the electricity, evolution. What they say is there was too rich of money. That's as far as your brain can simplify it. That's like I had $1 billion and told all of LA to have a meeting with me to discuss politics and stuff. Technically, we're discussing history and governing now. We clearly provide something. There's trading, but there's also being the smartest. And to always push this idea of being created equal. See, who felt being created equal first? The kings, the rulers. The guy in charge of the African Americans, the guy in charge of Asia, the guy in charge of Europe, the guy in charge of America, the guy in charge of Britain, because those guys can hang out together and feel great. They got everything paid. They got everything they want. And they feel equal regardless of skin colors. The first king. So this said, well, we're in charge right now and we want America to represent those values, right? You know, we weren't winning in the beginning. I'm going to tell you why. So you can say every year, every now and then, there's a new demonstration for every culture. You know, there's still lots of form of child labor. Um, they're expecting for you to talk to them, but until then, they have to wait for aid. It's like depending on your own people, but you're not talking. You know, that could be a little game they're playing. So there's this idea of making the weakest link feel the strongest. For a while in the beginning, America. You know, the 13 colonies, they broke with Britain. So Britain is America. London is not part of Paris. London is an island next to Paris, like Hawaii. So let me tell you a little story based on the globe and military tactics and my education. There's a reason why Paris or Alexander the Great have a record or known as a militia that conquered. It's actually very exaggerated, seriously severe, and accurate. And you see it once I explain it. Spain, the whole peninsula, is as big as my finger index. We all know when we're in school. They say, where's Alexander the Great? Where's where he conquered? Hey, that's Africa. That's Paris. Boom. He conquered all of this. All you kids think you're smart because you know he conquered all of this middle circle. That was me too. All you know is he conquered this whole middle, right? That's Spain, that's America. Right? You remember right here in the middle because you remember the beaches. You know exactly, because if you were a ruler, you would come from the beach, and I'll tell you why. This was easy to conquer. We just walk around this whole ocean beach side, right? And London, Britain is here. That's who we work with, right? And then we cut a treaty with Paris, and we never met sides again. There's an ocean in the middle. That's how it is now. So, you know, all of this was Alexander the Great. So imagine you own a finger. So now, before you come to America, you have to conquer your Eastern Hemisphere, all of this. So this Alexander the Great, my finger, right? He's here. He has an army this big, like God, right? And he's going to go, there's water here, so he's not going to the right first. He's going to the land. So he's going to go, dun, 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 right? Conquer that. Then he's going to go, dun, 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 conquer that. And then he's going to go down and conquer that. So he did that for 1,000 years. When you talk about 1500s, he's been doing that since 1300, 1200. So before he got to 1776 Declaration of Independence, for 1,000 years, he traveled all of the Eastern Hemisphere. And now we're going to talk about war tactics. First and foremost, there's mountains that you can't travel on. So as a militia, as a leader, you have to come in through the beaches. So you coming in through the coastline at a time where you only have a horse and boats. So you still have to wait to travel all you're traveling down the coastline like Malibu, and you gotta go around Russia, Asia, Africa, and you gotta come into the beaches because you're gonna die if you go to the mountains. You go hiking right now, imagine hiking all the way to New York. So you're going into the beaches with an army this big. And there's one more thing. You're scared of losing. You want 100% victory. You know, the fear of losing has put you in a mode of anxiety, in a mode of not wanting to die. So you created something, and it's called flank. You know, you played that in video games. What's a flank? A flank is when you go in through the front and the back. You flank them. You go through the back. So now, while you conquering the world, he's not just moving left to right. He's coming in the middle. So he's so paranoid. He has to win for sure, and that's how he won. He's traveling from the front of the beach. He going around, going to the beach, and he's still traveling to meet you right here. And that's how he won all his battles with a flank, front and back, and the middle destroyed. And and the thing about the map is, you know, a lot of people don't know why certain places are filled with just black people, why certain people are just filled with Chinese people, why certain people are just filled with Russians, why certain places are just filled with brown people. Uh, Pakistan, Iraq, India, you know. If you look at the map, this is Alexander the Great. All the Russian white people are here. All the Chinese people are in the back. India, all the brown people are here. And all the black people are here. That's what he did for 1,000 years, right? And before I, so Columbus landed on New York and took the beaches, but was won back in 1776 when they signed the Declaration of Independence. You know, it's funny when white people say we were here first, it must be talking to Italy, to the Italians. So I would have, as an army leader, I would have not traveled American soil unless I had walked on all my continent soil. And that's exactly what Paris did. Before, you know, they crossed to unknown territories. So they took over all the Eastern Hemisphere. And your books and your education, you say just Rome. So what does that mean? That they are within a treaty ruled by the great king, and still are to this day, probably. That whole Eastern Hemisphere. But if you look at the map, where is the king? And who is the king? They tell you the king is in Britain on an island. Let's talk about military tactics. Where you gotta land on the boat. Like Hawaii. London is right next to all of the Eastern Hemisphere. Paris, Africa, Europe. The king could be a decoy. The king cannot even be in Britain. Who's really in charge? But they all have a treaty. We know that much because we have come to meetings with them. So and the reason they separated everyone was for this moment in time to be ahead of everyone, to look at the world confused. And what they did is give their own kind of leader. Black rule the black, Africans rule Asia rule the Asians, Russian rule the Russians, and the brown rule the brown. But these kings will still come together. And then there's Spanish as well, and then there's London. It's an island, right? So they tell you the king is in Britain. Go to Britain, and a lot of people are lost in Britain. A lot of people die on a small island. You can't come in, you can't come out. It's a decoy. So you see what happens in Russia war. You see what happens in Japan. It's like they're looking for something. Like, where is the king? They don't even know who the king is, but these people are talking somehow. It must be in their books. It must be in their history. Not even history. History is new. It must be in their Bible, how they used to communicate, right? Because they're communicating somehow. So we signed the laws with Paris, and they literally say the king is in England, but that could be a decoy. But they're communicating somehow in Europe. And in South America, we got Spanish only, brown people. And there's a time where America was going down there and putting chemicals in the dirt and burning all their bananas and vegetables, so nothing will grow. They said nothing can grow till this time. They teach you that in high school. America wanted all the brown people in South America. That's Brazil, Peru, Chile. They went down there and contaminated their dirt, and they had to, and they did work with America because they saw what happened to their dirt, their soil. They couldn't grow nothing now. So maybe one day, in a few years, they're gonna have to migrate because their land ain't gonna produce no product. Right now, probably America is giving it to them, but maybe the Spaniards or Alexander had reached South America, Brazil already. But since it takes them so long to travel and go back and forth, America it's on the Western Hemisphere, Brazil. America just has to go down to Mexico, Brazil, and talk. And that was around the 1900s when they destroyed all their crops and contaminated their soil. So that means we gained South America as um, an ally because they saw what they could do to other people's soil, what they could do across the ocean. And that's around the time they made fertilizer, right? They found how else to kill crops and never will grow back. That dirt is damn, the dirt turning purple, it's damn radioactive. There ain't nothing going there forever. So there's a separation of color. It was there to confuse future leaders and make the current leader feel powerful. They led their own kind. As a militia, as a army leader, that's beneficial. If you tell them you can tell your people what to do, but you still under me. He's happy. You can tell your people what to do, but you're under me, Alexander the Great, right? Who wouldn't do that? That makes obvious sense. So we're talking about how the Eastern Hemisphere is separated, right? It's like what y'all say now. I could tell my people what to do, exactly what they, boom, look at half of the Eastern Hemisphere, look at damn Africa, Europe, Asia, and if you want to know what's in Asia, they got Tianjin, Xi'an, Bako, Beijing, Harbi, Magnolia, They got so many things you never heard of. The Republic of China, and they're right next to Pakistan and India. Thailand, Vietnam, Hong Kong. Hong Kong is the ocean. You know, it's all about the ocean. So it was conquered through front and back, flanks, armies. You know, and then decided to reach America. So now there's this big ocean between everyone. It takes about 3 days to get through the boat and water. Now you got wars on the water. And then we still got this idea of making the weakest link feel the strongest. You know, I have a feeling America was the weakest link. And what do you do to the weakest link? We would say everything from the beginning, you know, eventually, right? From the first president. So let's skip a few moments in history, military tactics. This Pearl Harbor. You know, the plane that could have landed anywhere. You know, so let's say we just talked about everything. You know, Paris is in New York. They're back. So nothing much has evolved. Nothing much has happened. And then there's Pearl Harbor, where we're all relaxing. We're all laid back. And they got through the ocean somehow, somewhere. And the plane could have landed anywhere. You're an army leader. The plane could have landed anywhere. It could have hit strangers. It could have hit random people. But they hit the army. Why? Because that's what they say. That's what they say. It's between the armies. We only attack the army for it. We're still playing that game of conquering the army, defeating the army, annihilating the army. So they went to Pearl Harbor, which was an army base, naval base, and that's what they hit. But now we're talking through attacks. America, the leader is going, why did you not hit nothing else? Now we're talking through attacks. Why you attack that location and place? You know, we're all saying the commotion you could have done if you hit random strangers, right? Because that's the game we're playing. We're only attacking armies. So that's what the president understood. You know, but it could be all reverse psychology. There's professionals who make you think what they want you to think without action, without touching you, right? So maybe they just force that in me and we don't know what they think. So what did America do? They didn't even get the army base. They got innocent people. And what you think that made Asia, the Eastern Hemisphere think? Russia, Paris, Africa think? There's also this theory, you know, of only being able to travel in a straight longitude line. You know, so they go to a war that was right in front of them. You know, longitude and latitude lines. What's up, what's down. They don't go in a curve. They don't go around. They don't go in circles. So Japan is Russia. It just went straight. And San Diego right there, right? But I have my own ideas. But we are making history. The Bible is done. And they wanted America to look like the strongest when they were the weakest. You know, the pride that grew from that, the philosophy of equality. They probably thought it was going to be our biggest downfall. For example, like taking credit from making inventions and farming when Europe had created. So now they're selling us fake history, telling us we're the great scientists. And it's ironic, but something happened. We were even spied on by the American spy, the TV. We probably didn't make the TV. Europe made it. But something happened. So that's when we were with the weak kids. I'm convinced Europe was the first to make the bomb. And that's as far as they got it in science. But they never used it. And now they're locked in their own hemisphere in their own country by water. Potentially running out of resources. But something happened. We made the satellite go to the moon. And we all know what this satellite does. If you don't know what this satellite does, go ask. So now, all their inventions don't matter. The first lies, the first history, inventions, plowing, farming, the bomb, it stays in the Eastern Hemisphere, stays in Europe, right? They can't travel the ocean. Leave us alone. Everyone got privacy. We made a satellite, and it's by the moon, and it's in space. And now we trade with Western hemispheres, and we trade with Eastern hemispheres. And those wars and bombs in the Eastern hemisphere are between themselves. Those bombs you see in Russia and Japan are between themselves. Are between Alexander the Great and everything he conquered in Africa and Russia and Asia and Kakistan. They're on a war between themselves. So, that Eastern Hemisphere is now trapped. That most powerful, they call it the fall of Rome. That most empire, exaggerated, severe, serious empire. They know their land in and out, front and back, up and down. All the mountain ranges now surrounded and locked by water. We trade. We can go visit. And we still have to catch up to telephone wires, electricity, building, manufacturing. Yet the airport is free. They allow you to travel anywhere in Europe. Even if there's wars going on, use your brain. You can go anywhere, but they can't come to America because the tides have changed. The weakest army, the weakest link has now become the strongest link. For how long? I don't know, but the moon is in the air. The satellite's in this space. And I believe those bonds are between themselves in the Eastern Hemisphere. That's as far as science made them. And then manifest destiny starts. And so does history. History is the religion is beginning, right? Manifest destiny. And the law is something else. And one thing they have prepared in future history and science is LA has an earthquake plan that's going to rip all of LA from California. Another history that they have planned is that a meteorite is going to land and destroy the earth, the same one that killed the dinosaurs like the moon. A nuke. And what does that mean? Maybe we have come to a conclusion that we're not going to come in on good terms anytime soon, and something's going to happen. And that side and this side, you know, that hemisphere can't annihilate themselves if they're not happy, and which will cause radiation to travel, contaminate the air. You know, if you keep giving them that lifestyle, but we don't know what they're going through besides maybe poverty, no food, or what else? No hunger, or no travel, no, you can't even make money. No one's going in and out. And the people that are going, you know, tourism has kept them alive for so long. It's like buying what they got to offer to eat, and they don't got nothing to produce no more. So history is starting, and it's on. And we have George Bush, and we got Obama, we got Trump, and who knows as much as they understand. And they're gonna keep history gonna keep going. And depending on who makes technology, who makes science, you know, certain people are gonna be having to promote different ideas and different laws. You know, Louisiana Purchase is a business. It was business. But we invested in McDonald's. We invested in a damn burger and cow. And, you know, the law is the law. And there might be some things we need from the other country, like minerals. You know, we might be on the side of the land that got no gold, no nothing, a certain type of rock. And that side got all of it. So, and that's the balance of the world. And that's how we're able to be at peace, I think, right now with trading. And, you know, right now everyone has the same amount of money, the same buildings, the same ideas, the same music. You know, there's nothing really, you know, unbalanced right now. Possession of the satellite. But when you start, you know, winning by a landslide, when you start winning by a large amount of numbers, and it shows, well, people are going to be very upset. And no matter what you do to keep the peace, you know, people will remain unhappy. You know, I'm unhappy. I feel like I deserve more. I feel like I don't have enough. I feel like I need $1 billion. I need the mansion. You know, just like Harry Potter did, just like J. Cole Rowling did, just like everyone else. And I don't want to live to 100 rich. I don't want to die young, 60. What the fuck is that? 70? Hell no. I want to live to 200, a million. And Tesla promoting medicine that make you live longer. And that's what I believe in. I got all of this from just one page, the introduction. I haven't even read chapter 1. I haven't read history. We're about to get into Manifest Destiny. I haven't read the 1960 laws. I haven't, you know, and I don't want to read all of that because that's what they only teach in high school. I wanted to read what the other president did, especially, you know, Bush, you know, with fear tactics and so on. But I hope I said everything. When I'm reading, I'm thinking of other ideas I want to put in, and I don't know if I should put them in. So um, I thought of more ideas. And that's what we got for today. A summary of 1% of the world. It's not everything you should not believe. That's my understanding of how I think, the leader tactic happen, how adventures we create, because when I want to get smart, I want to get to I started going up to the first inventions. I'm a businessman. I want to make patents. I want to make money. I want to make my own invention. I wanted to make my own dishwasher. And that's how I come with these conclusions. And I'll go down to the first invention and why I can't make a damn chair without someone's permission. And yeah, she cooking. And we about to go and eat. Hopefully I said everything. I hate when I watch my videos and I think of 100 more of these. Yeah, earthquake happened today. I bet it feel like the wall. So we got two stories. One side could be starving to death, locked in their own borders, bombing each other up. And because we can't hide that from the news, we have to insinuate that we're using scare tactics on our own people. And we can assume that everyone is crying for help. It's a simple form of warfare, a simple form of army military tactics where they cry for help, right? They cry for help. You go help in this whole Eastern Hemisphere, kills your army troops. But while it all looks like it's going down the drain, there will be peace. Because if there's something that's going to unite all the continents, it's one common enemy. And that's going to be space. That's going to be an alien. Now, Neil deGrasse already said the silver hemisphere, there's a silver element we never see from the periodic table up in the sky just over us. I said it was alien poop. Or that's the beginning of another scare tactic. But we all here, and they already playing future history. And when the Bible's done, we're creating history now, past, future. The common enemy will unite all the continents. Whoever that common enemy is. We better hope it's space. And I hope they're created equal too. Because created equal was made by the 5 kings. Thankful or not. I won't be going to the space army in a million years, probably 1,000 years. So again, there's two stories. Africa, we selling history. The Bible's done, it's history. History is a timeline. We got history for the future, the past, and the present. So that's what I think happened. So people are being attacked. Africa are the first to get famous in Hollywood. Right? History. China just bought our debt. History. Oil in the Middle East. Brown people. Iraq. We're going to war with Russia for who knows what. And then we got Spanish, Madrid, Spain, Italy, British, French. So we got two stories, either all getting attacked or they're attacking themselves. And it's all scare tactics from America because we can't hide the news. We can't hide the pictures now. Right? They just can't come here. The one common enemy would be an alien. Going to space. We all love each other. Because we need one common enemy.